if you are on a phone, if you will push *6 to mute your line, that would help us with the feedback. If you are on a phone, please push *6 to mute the line. That was very helpful. And then we have a couple of people on their computers that also need to mute the line. If you look at your computer screen, there's a microphone icon. If everyone can mute their lines, that would be helpful. Thank you. That sounds so much better. So good evening. I'm so happy that y'all are here tonight. I'm Vice Mayor Pro Tem Martha Castex Tatum, the council member for District K. And tonight, I wanted to gather as many of our residents in the district, in the community, to speak with Mark McCord and Josh Sanders. Josh reached out to me a month or so ago about Elmington Capital and a development they were interested in doing in our district. And after I spoke to them, I said, you really should reach out to the community members because as their council member, I want to do. But if you're on a phone, can you push *6? Dee Dee, can you mute all the lines?
Yes, Vice Mayor Pro Tem, I am.
Thank you. Again, so after I spoke with Mark and Josh, I suggested that they reach out to the South Houston Concerned Citizens Coalition, to the Super Neighborhood, and to some community members that I know have lived in our community for a long time and have really participated in the growth of the community and the direction that we want to see our community go in. We've got some really dedicated leaders in our community and people that have been here a long time. I mean, my parents still live in the house that we moved to when I was 5 years old in the Hiram Clark community. So I know that there are so many residents and constituents that have been living in their homes for close to 40 and 50 years. So our community is important to us. Your homes are your greatest assets for most people. And we want to do what's best for our community. So I know that Mark did and Josh did have an opportunity to speak at the South Houston Concerned Citizens Coalition. You've had some conversations with some community members. I think initially you were looking at maybe 354 units or so. But what I'm going to do, Mark and Josh, I don't know, Josh, if you want to introduce Mark, however y'all want to do it, I'm going to turn it over to you guys to explain the development and what it is that you are interested in doing at the corner of West Fuquay and Almeda.
Sure thing.
Yeah, certainly.
I can jump
well,
right
thank
in.
you again, Vice Mayor. You want to go for it? Okay, go ahead, Mark.
I'd say we can jump right in. Whatever is best. I just want to be considerate of time. First off, thank you, Vice Mayor Pro Tem, for arranging this. We originally reached out to her. She was open-minded but had some concerns, and ultimately said that she's going to support her constituents on this one, and she's been consistent with that message. So she's definitely has everyone's interest in mind. So I appreciate her introducing us to the folks that we've met with to date. I see a lot of those names and faces on here, which is good to see some familiar names and see some new names on here. So nice to meet you all. So I'm going to try to share.
Mark, you muted.
Okay, can you all see my presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. That's a win. All right. So, as we mentioned, when we started this conversation at the beginning of the summer, we started with a 354 unit community, which was not received well, and we've had several conversations after that, and we've really overhauled the development plan and tried to better align it with the needs and the preferences and the feedback that we got. So I'm really excited to share our new and improved presentation. So I'm going to move quickly, just because I want to get to the most important part, which is just hearing from you all and answering questions. So if you guys could just bear with me and try to hold questions and comments to the end, and then I've got all night. So all right, so here we go. So Elmington Capital, we've gone through this in detail, but I'll go through it quickly for folks who may not have joined or may have just recently joined. So we are a regional real estate investment and development firm headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee. We've been around since 2009. And our core business is multifamily housing, and specifically in kind of the workforce housing sector. So to date, we've done about 6,000 units. It's increased from when these slides were created. So one of the larger firms in the country for this product. And our overall investment thesis and motto is long-term ownership of community. So a lot of real estate firms are build it and sell it, and we like to hold on to these as long as possible, and really invest into these communities. So that will be a theme that we touch on throughout this presentation. So we talked about on the construction side, we also are a property manager of about 35,000 units in 13 states. So this is just a graphic of what that footprint looks like. I'm not as involved. I have, there's an entire team of like 800 to 1,000 employees on the property management business. But we definitely have a good footprint and a lot of experience on the management side of things. So while we're all here today is to discuss the 14 acres that is on the southwest corner of the West Fuquay and Almeida intersection. So this property, unfortunately, the owner passed earlier in the year, and now the new the inherited family owner is selling this, and this site really ties into everything that we look for. A safe neighborhood, access to public transportation, access to major roadways, job employment centers, quality schools, and all the attributes that you guys know well. So the next, I guess, taking a step back, the last time we spoke in early July, I think Ms. Vivian Harris and some others echoed a preference and a need for senior housing. And really that was a number of reasons. One was, the concern of just the number of people with a family development, with kids and traffic. Other one is just, the fear for, potential more incidents on the crime side. And we took that feedback and tried to implement that into our development plan. So what we came up with is a mixed use development. So this is a sketch from an architect, but this is a draft of what our revised concept is proposing. So now we've got 3 components to the project. The first one is we're just as a working title, Almeida Senior Lofts. It's 172 units, all 1 and 2 bedroom units, and it's restricted to folks ages 55 and up. So what that means is the head of household has to be over 55. So, if there's a spouse that's 50, like that's okay. But the head of household has to be 55 years old. And we'll talk about it in the subsequent slides, but we'll talk about that in a moment. We'll go into more detail there. The second portion of the community is what we're calling Almeida Flats. It's 142 units designed for a family. So these are, 2, 3, 4-bedroom plans. They are, a kind of a traditional 3-story multifamily community. There'd be a large standalone clubhouse, pool, playground, but really designed with the family in mind. The third component, which was, just to try to diversify the project a little bit more, are townhomes. So there'd be 16 townhomes in the site, and they would be for rent as well. And they would have access to all of the amenities and programming of the blue section, the family section. But it's just something we wanted to do to provide more space, just a different living option, and really just to add another dynamic to this mixed use development. And the idea is just to really create like one of the most diverse and unique communities in the city of Houston, as far as just different product. Now they will be separated, amongst the red and the green, or excuse me, the red and the blue. There'll be a fence. Like all of the amenities will be separate, standalone. Different names of the communities, different vendor relationships, kind of staffed differently. I mean, they're both standalone developments, but then also kind of a mixed use deal. So moving quickly. So the senior section, like I said, all 1 and 2 bedrooms. We'll talk a little bit more about the quality, but 9-foot ceilings, in-unit washer and dryers, stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, and then on the amenity side, everything will be designed for the elderly resident in mind. So there'll be elevators, obviously. There'll be conditioned corridors and hallways. So, similar to like what you think with a hotel. So you wouldn't, be fighting the heat, when you're taking groceries home. You'd have an elevator and hallway. We'd have other senior friendly amenities. So we'd have not a doctor's office, but like a health screening office that can be used for just various health related tasks. We have community rooms, fitness center, library, business center. And the best part is affordable rents. So usually this type of product, probably be $1,500, $2,000 plus a month in rent. And these are all pegged at or all set or maxed at the 60% of the area median income. So for 2021, that's for the 2-bedroom unit, that's almost $43,000. And then rents would be approximately 816 for a 1-bedroom and 974 for a 2-bedroom. I've just kind of bucketed the next two together. So the family section is now 142 units and 16 townhomes. The townhomes would be 2 stories, approximately 17 to 1,800 square feet. These would also be restricted and income restricted to the 60% area median income population. So this side would offer 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom units. We'll dive into all the quality later, but again, 9-foot ceilings, in-unit washer and dryer, granite countertops, all of the features that you would expect from a brand new high quality community. And then here, the amenities are really focused towards the family. So you have a big clubhouse, you have a computer lab, a fitness center, a swimming pool, playgrounds, picnic tables. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. So this program, isn't designed for a homeless population or folks that aren't employed. This program on the family side is built for the workforce. It's people that work in construction and retail and food and beverage and warehouse jobs, and the people that have tremendous value within the community, but just aren't highly compensated. And they're critical as any profession. It's just sometimes the the cost of living is not attainable for them, and they're stretching on rent instead of paying, you know, $800 for one bedroom. They're paying $1,200 for one bedroom, because that's, you know, that's all that's out there, and that person can't save up for a home. They can't send their kids to extra programs. They can't, you know, save for retirement. They can't meet their healthcare needs. And this is a program that gives these people a helping hand. And that's really what this program is designed to do. So now the best part, or one of the best parts, is just the product. So this is, you know, a sample of 4 different community areas that we've had. As you can see, a lot of people, when they hear apartments, they think about the stuff that's, you know, was built 30 years ago and not maintained, and with a you know, bad property owner. And you can see from these pictures, these are very high quality, high design, you know, modern spaces that, you know, if there was no rent restriction, they'd rent for $1,500 a month. But these are all, you know, just pictures of the quality that we built. These are just some more spaces for community areas. You got a playground, and you can see the pool in this one, and community centers. You know, these are pictures of some of the fitness centers that we built. So these are, you know, very, you know, high-end quality spaces. They're not, you know, hotel gyms that have a couple dumbbells. They're legitimate facilities. This is, I would say, a representative image of the quality you could expect on the family side for a swimming pool and playground and clubhouse. You can see it's definitely like a resort style pool that everyone can enjoy. You know, again, the playground and all of the amenities that you'd expect from a top-notch development. All right, so units, as you can see, like all the features that we've been talking about: granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, 9-foot ceilings, in-unit washer and dryers, big, you know, open floor plans, kitchen islands, you know, again, all for $800 to for starting around $800 for a 1-bedroom. Here's just some more pictures of, you know, bathroom and a kitchen area. So on the senior side, you know, the units will have the same quality that we've discussed, but there'll be kind of everything will be adapted around you know, the 55 and over population. So what that means is, you know, more community spaces. So you know, what we want to do is create a really social and engaging environment for our senior residents. You know, a lot of lounge and sitting areas that they can you know, spend time in outside of their room. So that's what you can see in the top left, and the bottom left is kind of like a coffee bar, you know, area. A lot of residents play cards and that kind of stuff there. On the right at the top, you know, this one we built a you know, kind of a small room that you know, hairdressers or barbers could come in and you know, service, you know, have some clients. So for residents who aren't able to get out, just one of the, you know, features we try to do for senior populations. And then the bottom right is, you know, just kind of a picture of how we've adapted the units for seniors. So this is, you know, an accessible shower that, you know, someone can use if they were elderly or handicapped or disabled. So just you know, very aging friendly features. You know, here's some images from one of our senior properties here in Nashville. We call it Almeida Flats. You know, again, you can see a gym that's been put together with the 55 and over population in mind. Again, there's a coffee bar. There's a kind of a nice patio behind the clubhouse and a kind of a business conference room. So we will be using a Texas-based architect. They have a large Houston office by the name of Humphreys and Partners. They'll be the architect throughout the community. They're one of the prominent, one of the most active and prominent multifamily architects in the nation. So pretty top-notch organization. And this is a, kind of a starting concept for the family. The senior component hasn't been designed yet because that was a recent ad. But this is what the quality and the architecture that you could expect within the development. All right, so this is my favorite part. I'm going to try to keep moving quick. So as proud as we are of what we build, we're also proud of the commitment we make to the experience. And what we do is we're really good at construction, we're really good at the property management, but to supplement the resident services side, we partner with a group called Portfolio Resident Services. So this is a 501c3 based out of Houston, and they are one of the leading service providers in the state for this type of work. And what this firm does is they partner with property managers and owners like Elmington, and they go in and create have dedicated resources to create a kind of an umbrella of services for the residents. So what they call their program the Good Neighbor Program, and they bucket their I guess classes, for lack of a better term, to kind of the 6 groups on the right: personal development, recreational, educational, family skills, neighborhood enhancement, and health and wellness. And what they do is they tailor all the programming towards a specific property. So they go in and they meet with residences, they have surveys, they have one-on-one interviews, they have votes, and they tailor the program of what people would need and when they need it. So like if they go in and all the feedback is they want social activities Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's what they try to do. Or if they say there's a large need for after school services, that's what they do. So they really, it's not a one size fits all program. They try to do what the residents is most important to them. So on the senior side, as you'd expect, it's a bit different. There's a kind of a laundry list of services on the left, and what they like to focus on is health and wellness. So the last 18 months has been very COVID, very very COVID focused, trying to make sure everybody's safe and still have access to quality healthcare. And then they spend a lot of time on social engagement. So what's important as you can imagine, what's important to the senior population is just making sure that they're still engaged and still learning and still friendly and social and out and about. So that's what they try to do in the senior community. And they also have a lot of partners. Like this group has a lot of partnerships throughout the community. So they are a 501c3, but they also reach out to other service providers in the community, and they'll reach out to restaurants for different I don't know, like food centric events. They'll reach out to like the Barbara, I believe it's the Barbara Bush Literacy Program, to do programs with them. They have like art relationships where like art teachers will come in and host like wine and sipping events and painting events. They have a really deep database of relationships, having been in Houston for so long. So this is just an idea this is kind of one of the sample schedules that they had for another senior community. So this one's set up on 3 days a week, and they have multiple sessions a day. You can see some of it's recreational activities like watercolor and Family Feud, and others is summer exercise classes and activities in the pool. And then some of it's mental health. You've got cycles of anxiety resources and financial literacy programs. So a lot of really interesting and valuable programming for the senior folks. So on the family side, we would have the same service provider, but we would have all of the activities focused on mostly, well, not all, most of the program will be fit around children. And after conversations with you all and other folks in the community, after school care is a big need. I've got 2 kids. I know the challenges it is. And so what we like to do is, in the summertime, it's a bit different, but when school's operating, that 3 to 5 is a really tricky time for parents. So what we like to do is kind of incorporate as much, programming during those hours as possible. And the other interesting thing is during these programming, there's always free snacks and meals for kids. And all of this is free of charge to children or to everyone. And, if somebody's parents are working late and know that their kid isn't going to go hungry. So this is another calendar, but on the family side, you can see, again, multiple sessions a day. There would be a dedicated space in the clubhouse for all of this. You can see like kids meals, health and nutrition, 1 to 3 on most days. They have backpack supply giveaways, computer games. There's some fitness related tasks on here, but every really a legitimate commitment to providing and supplementing and empowering families and kids to just give them resources. And this will kind of alleviate some of the stress hopefully for some parents and most importantly some costs, because again, this is all included for those rental prices that we discussed earlier. We'll move through this quickly. I don't want to take up too much time. So infrastructure, we've talked a lot about traffic. We will be performing a traffic impact analysis with the city of Houston, and follow all of their development requirements and recommendations. That's a very technical process with traffic engineers. So that will all, everything, all of our plans are going to be contingent on their approval. So, whatever impact or that this development would make on the existing infrastructure, we would be responsible for completing that work. Utilities, we've reserved our utility capacity, and it's going to be over $340,000 in impact fees to pay for the capacity that we would require. Sidewalks, we would be installing and improving sidewalks around the entire perimeter of the development. And drainage obviously is a major concern. As you can see in the original graphic, that it's about a 1.5 acre on-site detention system. And again, that will be heavily reviewed by the city of Houston staff. And then last but not least, beautification effort. So each one of these deals is committed to, each one of these components is the family and the senior that is committing to commit $25,000 each toward the general beautification improvement areas or efforts in the area. So a total of $50,000. All right, last section, I promise. So throughout from day one, crime and safety has been the number one talking point and concern, and it's as an owner, that's our number one concern as well. So the next series of slides is what we think is a very thoughtful and intense security plan. So it really starts with resident screening. So what I think is the most promising with this path versus alternative development paths is we have a very intense process to become qualified for the apartment. So we use a third party to do this. It's a national group called TransUnion, and they verify income and employment. So everyone in there will have a legitimate income that has to be under the thresholds that we've discussed, but they've got to show a long history of their ability to pay rent and a strong job. They also do previous landlord verifications. They call previous landlords, make sure that they've been a good neighbor and a good tenant. They also do, criminal searches. They search multiple databases, and applicants can become disqualified from, not having a promising background. So, folks with sex offenders and sexual crimes are automatically disqualified from leasing. And then there's, also a rigorous process for, other misconduct in the past. So, there is, depending on the degree of an offense, it's not, isolating for folks that are trying to get back on their feet that maybe had some incidents, 10, 15 years ago. There is some latitude there. But all those are handled on a case-by-case situation. Violent crimes and sexual crimes are not tolerated. What else on this one? So then I would say the last 2 points on this one that are worth noting is, all of these decisions are made at the executive level. So it's not going to be the responsibility of, a young on-site staff member. It's going to be, through our director of compliance, who's a long industry veteran. And then the last one is, unauthorized occupants. So if somebody's, trying to bring over a girlfriend or boyfriend and to move into the apartment and they're not on a lease, then that's a lease violation and they are subject to eviction. So it's very strictly monitored because, with the income verifications, it's absolutely critical that every person is accounted for on the community. All right, the physical part. So the, full perimeter fence, gated entry exit, 24/7 video surveillance throughout the community, and well-lit parking areas and sidewalks. I think these speak for themselves as to how they can help and why we want to do these, so we can move quickly. So the third safety measure is the HPD has a Blue Star multifamily housing program. It's there's 16 steps, I want to say, that you have to follow to become eligible for this program. Kind of condensing those, there's a management training, there's resident education, and then there's preventative crime design elements that you have to do, and that includes cameras and signage and a number of different things. But it's somebody from HPD will come out and survey your property, and then you have to work with them to meet all of their standards to achieve your Blue Star. Last but not least, private security. So to supplement HPD's efforts and to just add another layer of safety and security to the entire development, Elmington will engage a private security operator to patrol as they see fit in the evenings and overnight. As you can imagine, most of the issues are overnight, and in apartment communities is most specifically prevalent, and just in vehicles, people breaking in cars. So it's important to have another presence. But SEAL has been an operator within the Five Corners district since 2013, and so they know the area well. They're already in the community, so we've contacted them about a potential engagement. But we, even outside of Houston, we have private security at all of our projects. So we covered a lot. I'm sorry, I try to move quickly, but that's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions, talk about that in any more detail. I'd love to hear from you all. What your all's thoughts and preferences are on this new and improved presentation.
Thank you, Mark. If you have a question, if you'll just raise your hand on the screen, then I will call on you. Before we get to the residents that have their hands raised, Mark, is this proposal 3-story for senior and 3-story for the multifamily? Are you proposing 3 stories for both?
So the senior is proposed to be 4, the family is 3, and then the townhome is 2. So the idea
Wait,
was to,
you said the senior is 4 stories?
yes. So the idea is to like the more intense or like the higher use or kind of the closer to Almeida, which is the commercial corridor, would be the highest, and then it would just kind of step down as it reached the more residential side on the west side.
Okay.
And the idea on the 4-story, which is roughly 36 feet, is you want like the footprint close because it's elevator served. So it's just a less of a walk for residents to get to amenities and a tighter footprint to get to to get to the elevator access.
What's the proposed breakdown for 1 and 2 bedrooms?
It'll be about 50-50.
Okay, and then for the multifamily, what would be the proposed for 2, 3, and 4?
So it would predominantly be 3. It was 142, so it would probably, I can get you an exact number, but it would be, the average would be a 3, so it'd probably be around 25 units are 2 bedrooms, 25 units are 4 bedrooms, and the balance would be 3 bedrooms. But I can follow up with a specific number.
Okay, I see that, let's see, Miss Suzette Lartigue has her hand raised. Miss Lartigue, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I do. Just wanted to know, what is the square footage of the senior apartments? One and, but for both the 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Sure thing. The 1 bedroom would be about 750 square feet. And then the 2 bedrooms would range from 950 square feet to 1,000 square feet.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mike Fowler, I see you have your hand raised if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted, I joined like 30 minutes into the meeting. I had another meeting, but I just wanted to know if the recording would be available later.
Yes, we'll put it on the District K site and it'll be available.
Thank you.
William Petrie, I see your hand raised. If you can unmute.
Yeah, so I see you had the workforce at 60%, but a lot of those occupations that you had listed, I don't think are going to qualify under the 60%. Particularly the firefighters, police, teachers. When you go to 60% and you're only talking 43,000, I think 43 takes you over a second-year teacher's salary. So I'm a little concerned on that. Is the 60% to qualify for tax credits? Is that what this project is partially utilizing?
Yes, that's exactly right. So the program is designed around the 60% population. Depending on different municipalities, some of the traditional incomes may disqualify certain professions. But one thing is important is once you're in the community, you're not going to be evicted for, if you were to get a raise or income were to increase higher. So it's a starting income it's a starting income.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that was the main concern that I had was the list of occupations that would still qualify at the $43,000 level and then still be able to meet the criteria that we're talking from credit, employment, and other history. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Ms. Skurlock has her hand raised. Ms. Skurlock, did you want to unmute and ask your questions?
Yes. What fund, are you still going to pursue the 4% tax credit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you said, if I'm right, you said the senior complex will be 3 stories? Is that correct?
It would be up to 4.
4?
Yes,
With
ma'am.
elevators, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
So what happens, what happened in February and what happens when we have a hurricane and we have no lights? Will you have backup generators?
Check.
No, those aren't currently contemplated.
Because, you know, we were without here in Houston, we were without lights in February for 3 or 4 days. And if you're on a 4th floor and you're a senior citizen, I don't know how you're going to get down. So that is a concern because it has happened here in Houston. As I said, you're in Tennessee, we're prone to hurricanes. And we've had situations where, you know, people are trapped in you know, where they are in those buildings. They can't get down the stairs because they can't walk down 4 flights of stairs or 3 flights of stairs. And then they're there without lights or whatever. So I would suggest if you're going to do a senior type complex here in Houston, that there be backup generators. I would hate to be a senior stuck on the floor with no lights in my apartment. And then
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can't get down the stairs if the stairs are lighted or what. If you have lights on the stairwell, if it's dark, what are the people going to do?
Yes, ma'am, that's a good suggestion.
I don't really like the 4, 3, and 4 stories because it takes away the character of our community. We don't have 4-story apartment buildings. And it sort of takes away from, even from that corner where you're talking about. I mean, it would be overwhelming in my opinion. I prefer, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I would prefer the 2 that blends in with the community.
Okay. Any other comments? If you are on a phone and you want to make a comment, I won't be able to see your hand raised, but I do see Miss Vivian Harris just raised her hand. Miss Harris, did you want to unmute and make a comment?
Ma'am, I have.
We hear you.
I have concerns and comments. One of the things that's really disturbing me, we can get these apartments, we can't even get a decent grocery store in our neighborhood.
Oh, man.
And until our schools are back and up and running, and we know the exact capacity of what we have dealing with the schools, because in the past our schools were overcrowded. Plus, we're trying to get a better quality of schools in our neighborhood. That has not happened. I agree there's a need for low to moderate income housing, but why is our community, when we are just beginning to see the change in the turnaround that we're looking for? We've survived many, many years on neglect from the city of Houston. Just as we're starting to build, here we're trying to tear down. To add insult to injury, it is being done with our tax dollars. We are a low crime because of our lack of numerous apartments everywhere. Everywhere there is a concentration of apartments, crime is heavy. Do you remember how Mayor Turner fought like hell to keep the apartments from Fountain View, the low-income apartments from coming out in Fountain View? Well, this is what we expect him to do for Howard Clark, known for its corruption and has been investigated and shut down before. I really suggest, if the community does not want this apartment complex, then we file a lawsuit to block it. And if it's going to go on the city council, who is going to request for it to go before council? I think that we should do some due diligence like we did once before, and you know we shut that housing department down before. I suggest that until we get some kind of respect and recognition, that we do the same thing again. I mean, Fountain View is no different from us. They're not no better than us. Take this project and put it on Fountain View. That's my take. And for all of you who holler, Miss Harris, you don't live here anymore, let me tell you this. I pay property tax at 13906 Red Drive, and I own everything under the ground at 14311 Buffalo Speedway. So yes, I still have interest over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. I agree with everything she said. I'm on the phone and not on the computer, but I agree with everything Ms. Harris said, because Peterson Elementary School has not had any changes since that school was built in the 1960s. So where will these children go to school?
Who are we speaking with?
My name is Marla Davis. I live at 14506 Arrow Street, 77045.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. We appreciate it. Your comments. Is that all you had to say tonight?
And I would like to know how was the neighborhood notified of this meeting? I got this information from a friend that lives in Fort Bend County.
Do you receive the District K newsletter?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, do you have email?
Yes, I do, but a lot of neighbors on my street do not have email. So what can be done about that?
Well, we're gonna have to figure out how we can share this information, but I will tell you that we do our best to try to get the information to as many residents as possible. The District K newsletter is our most prominent way to get information to residents. And we depend on residents to share the information like your friend in Fort Bend did with you. We send it to our distribution list. And if you do have email, we'd love to get your email address tonight. And then hopefully you can help us get the word out too. Communication is tough and engagement is a two-way street. So we need help getting the word out. We've done our best to try to get the word out to as many people in the community as possible.
Okay, is there any way that a sign can be posted at the public library? Because a lot of people go to the library since it's not open for upcoming meetings.
We could post a sign for upcoming meetings. It's my understanding it won't open until October, though. I'm not really sure when it's going to open now as of today with the county going back to red. So, but we can definitely look at posting in different places. I do know that we try to get our flyers out to the community centers when we have events. We can do that for meetings, but I will tell you the best way for us to get reach the most people is through our distribution list. And then, I would hope that, residents would share the information with their neighbors, just like your friend did with you.
And so, I've been with that friend for over 40 years, and she's active in her community. But the thing of it is in my neighborhood, a lot of these kids and parents do not have computers. So that's a big issue, because even when school was out, not having computers and internet is a big issue. So maybe some of the flyers should be posted like at Pyburns where people go all the time, or the neighborhood gas station, or maybe posted on the door of Foodorama or CVS. Because like I said, a lot of people do not have
we definitely can do that. We'll need some help from residents to make sure that message gets out to Pyburns. We can make some flyers if people are willing to share it with their neighbors. We're happy to do that. But I'd like to start with getting you on our distribution list since you do have email.
Okay.
Dee Dee, I'm going to ask my chief of staff to reach out to you after the meeting. We got your phone number, Ms. Davis.
Okay. But my biggest concern about this is, like Ms. Harris said, it's 4 stories, it's too high. The crime rate is too high, and the schools are not. The Peterson Elementary School is not well addressed to be accommodated for new students. Madison High School has been rebuilt twice, and Peterson has never been touched, and that's one of my sore spots as being a retired educator from HISD.
Thank you for your comments, and we definitely need to reach out to our trustee and see if they've got a bond coming up that Peterson gets some attention. It's important for residents to reach out to their HISD board trustee to share those concerns as well. Is there anyone else on the phone that wants to unmute and speak? Okay, who am I speaking with?
Ray Washington.
Hey, Reverend Washington, you've got the floor.
Got what?
You have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay. I first want to ask the question about the the 43,000, is this for couple or single?
The what? I missed your
Yeah.
your question.
The $43,000 for the entrance fee. $43,000 your employment.
I think he's talking about the income limits. So
Yes,
it's
the income.
It's per household.
It's per household?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the other question is, you mentioned about access to all of the other facilities. Now you're talking about the seniors will have access to the family facilities for as the pool is concerned?
No, sir. No.
So the
between
seniors would have their own pool?
So between the senior and between the senior and the family sections would be completely isolated. There would not, I mean, there'd be a fence between the two, and there would be no crossover for amenities.
Or there would be no amenities for the seniors as far as the pool is concerned, or a spa?
Well, they have their own set of amenities, yes, sir, but they just wouldn't, they wouldn't have, kids coming over to use their fitness center. They'd have their own dedicated amenities.
Okay. And also, I want to point this out. No one that contacted me, I want to correct that statement that was made by contacted everybody in the community. Nobody contacted me as far as the design of this facility. I had been calling these people for months. And then now finally they come up and they call the city council person and we have a meeting. But previously, no one had contacted me. I had to contact the people myself. I think there's a miscommunication.
I don't know. Are you've been calling Elmington to reach out to you?
Yes, that project right across the street from me and behind the.
I guess I'm a little confused because it seems that the property went on the market to purchase. So were you calling the real estate company?
I called the real estate company. I called the broker. He gave me the broker's number. And also, I think I even called you to see if they had any permits.
And they didn't. And when they did, I had them to reach out to the community. That's why we're having a meeting now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just saying that I wasn't contacted in that.
Did you get our District K
I had
newsletter?
to get mine from Homer.
Okay. Do you get the District K newsletter, Mr. Washington?
I get the District K sometimes, and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
I think the last one I got was 2 or 3 months ago.
Well, we sent it out a couple of days ago about the meeting for today.
From now on, could they verify that they have sent it out to me? Or I guess when I get it, I can call you and let you know.
Constant Contacts does a very good job of letting us know who opened it, who received it, so we can definitely look at, because we sent it out to everybody, and we can look and see who opened it, who deleted it, who unsubscribed. It has very good tracking.
The next question, Martha, is when all this is said and done, the meetings are said and done, this going to have to go before council. So you're going to present it before council?
Am I going to present it before council?
Yes. I know the council going to have to vote on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to present it. That's not how it works, Reverend Washington. What are you going to make your comments? I'm not going to present it before council. The housing authority would present it.
Okay, I know we will have to go. I know we will have to go down to the housing department and make public comments, and from that, I think it goes on to the council.
So there will be a public comment, public hearing. If the housing department would set a public hearing on the council agenda so people could make comments in the public hearing, and then it will go for a vote.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
So I guess I'm confused with your comment. Are you asking me, am I going to present it?
Well, are you in agreement with it?
I'm going to be in agreement with the constituents, and that's why we're having a meeting today.
That's all I need to know, Martha. That's all I need to know. That's it. That's all. That ends my comment.
So are you for it, not for? I didn't
Am I
get
what?
I didn't get your comment. Are you
Well,
in agreement with it or not agreement
no,
with it?
no, I'm not in agreement with it. Only thing that I was in agreement with was a senior facility, not any townhomes at all. I was in agreement with an expansion of the senior citizen or assisted living. That's the only thing that I was in agreement with. But
Okay,
the other, I know the other, they're gonna have to kind of recoup their money as far as putting up a senior citizen place. But no, I'm not in agreement with it.
okay. Thank you for your
Thank.
comments, Reverend
All
Washington.
right.
Is anyone else on the phone wanting to make a comment? You can push *6 and tell us your name.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, hi. My name is Herendira Ledesma. My question, are you guys going to have this meeting in Spanish or is it going to be translated? I know in my community, there's a lot of Spanish speakers that, again, I share the same kind of concern. It was not shared. I was on the distribution list. That's how I got it and let some of my neighbors know. But they don't speak any English.
Okay, we can actually hold a meeting and have a Spanish translator. If you will, you said you got the email from the distribution list, so you're on our District K newsletter list?
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me your name again. I didn't get it.
It's Erendira. Erendira. Last name Ledesma, Ledesma.
Okay, Ms. Ledesma, we'll reach out to you and see if we need to schedule a meeting and have a Spanish translator from the mayor's office mayor's office, and we can have a translator and maybe do a meeting in Spanish.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Martha.
Anyone else on the phone?
This is Angela.
Martha.
Who's calling my name? State your name.
Wasn't me. Hi, Martha.
Okay.
This is Angela.
Hello.
Washington. I think we have two people on. I'm not sure who's going first.
Okay.
This is Melvin
I heard
Thornton.
Hey, Ms. Thornton, go ahead.
Okay. My question is, I am very concerned about mobility around this facility. I just don't think that the streets around this facility, I know he talked about a mobility study, but I just want to put my comment in that I don't think that the streets around this facility is going to be large enough to hold anything like this. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. I heard somebody say their name was Angela.
Yes, this is Angela Robinson.
Hey, Ms. Robinson, you go ahead with your comments.
Okay, I have a few concerns. Like someone else mentioned, a 4-story building for senior citizens just does not seem like a smart move, given the fact that we do have power outages and it would be pretty difficult for the seniors to get down. My other concern is I do not understand combining a senior citizen living area with a family living area and thinking that a fence would be enough to allow the peace and quiet that the seniors are entitled to. So I don't see how that's going to work very well. There's going to be children out. There's going to be a lot of noise. They may share separate amenities, but what's going to prevent these children from coming across the fence? Who's going to do anything about that? I don't see mixing the two units together at all. I don't think that's a very good choice. And I guess, first of all, I do feel that when you bring low-income housing to an area, that sometimes you generate the population that is really not that desirable. When that happens, there tends to be crime in the area that everyone is plagued with. And I don't agree with that as well. And that's all.
Mark, did you want to comment on that? Ms. Robinson, thank you for your comments. You're muted.
Thank you. Learn after a year of this stuff. So her point about the two conflicts, potential conflict of use, you know, we would have on-site management kind of making sure that there wouldn't be too many issues, you know, like issues that would create a less pleasant learning environment between the two uses. And if it becomes a problem, that would, you know, trigger lease violations, and they would have, you know, there would be repercussions. But, you know, apartments are adjacent to retail centers, and senior housing are adjacent to kind of every other use. It's just this one's a bit different because it would be kind of simultaneously built. So, I mean, we see kind of, especially in Houston where the zoning code is not formal, I mean, you'll see, you know, significant change in use pretty frequently. And we've done this in Charlotte and Nashville, this concept, and it's been very popular. But I think she makes some good points about just the lifestyle between the two different communities being different, and we need to make sure that we're thoughtful in how we plan on the design side and the operation side. On the design side, you want to, you know, do more than a fence. You want to do like maybe like a type of landscape buffer, or you know, just the configuration of buildings where they wouldn't be, you know, adjacent to the parcel. So I think she's made some really good points there as well.
Okay. I see a Villamonte development. If you want to unmute and make a comment. The name on the computer is Villamonte Development.
Sorry, that was me. I'll put my hand down. It was Ledesma.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Ledesma. Let's see who hasn't spoken yet. Sean Rushing, I see your hand raised.
Evening, everybody. So I wanted to ask the developers, will individuals, families have assigned parking?
They'll have, it won't be assigned spots. There'll be, you know, you have to register your vehicle and there'll be a sticker, but there won't be assigned spots.
Okay, so in other apartment complexes, you do have assigned parking or a sticker. So if a person has a visitor who comes and they park there, will they be able to park? Will you have visitors parking? Because what happens is that when there's nowhere for visitors to park, they park on the street. And as you've heard by other conversations, there's nowhere for people to park. So you're talking 350 or 300 at least complexes, maybe some of them having 3 and 4 people in the household. Where will these people park? Where will their visitors park? Where will families park that have 3 adults in the house? The parking will be a real issue over there.
Yeah, it's a good question. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's a good question.
I was just saying parking will be an issue. We've had other businesses where people have had to park on the street, and people have actually gotten hit by cars trying to run across the street to where they could park. So I can see that as a safety issue.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we will be following Houston's development code, you know, parking regulations. But on the kind of practical side, there will be, you know, future resident and guest spots at the front of the community. So, you know, potential, you know, new tenant can pull up, park, walk into the clubhouse, be greeted by staff, and then, you know, if a friend's coming over, there'll be guest spots. But we do the sticker just so we can better track who's in the community, you know, make sure we have all the information if there's issues. But so the kind of the badge or sticker is as much of a security measure as it is just from a parking side.
Does the Houston's parking code and what you're required to provide, it's based on the number of people per unit, or is it based on the number of units that you build?
Good question. So both. It's based on bedrooms. So, 2-bedroom has a higher requirement than a 1-bedroom, and it increases from there.
And will you sell the parking spaces? Will,
No, they'll be
the
all
tenants-
free of charge to the tenants.
It will be free of charge? Okay.
Yes.
Well, it'll be included in their rent.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, let's see. We'll go back to people who've asked the question before. Ms. Scarlock, I see your hand raised.
Yes. And speaking of schools, I know Madison doesn't have the capacity at this point. It's supposed to be built for, it's only been built, I think, for 1,500, and they are already past that. And the principal is saying, we don't have the room. So if you're going to dump all these people over there, where are they going? And we don't want any more temporary buildings attached to our schools. I agree with Ms. Rushing. You're talking about building with, I think you said previously that you would have an entrance on West Fuquay and one on Waterloo. So I agree. Where will all these people, you're talking 330 units, I think, where will all these people park? If you have 4 bedrooms and 3 people have a car and you're only giving one space, where are these people going to park? Are they going to park along? They can't park along West Fuquay. That's a busy street. So they're going to have to park on Waterloo. I mean, have you, looked at the number of people in there and maybe the number of cars that you will? Have you done a study on that of how many people you think will have cars? Also, what is the transportation? I don't know if there's a bus stop on that corner or not. I can't say. Maybe it's one up near McDonald's, I think. Okay. Now, you mentioned amenities. Where are these people going to buy some food? I mean, there's nothing around there. I mean, are they going to go to the fast food places or anything like that? Also, it'll be right across from the post office, and that creates a problem. And I can see people who can't parking on the post office parking lot. And we've had, you have people where they need a place to park, and they start doing that. So you might need to do a study on the parking and where these people are going to park. Basically, I don't like the project. As I said, 4-story is not in the character of this neighborhood. We don't have those. And I think on that corner, it's going to overwhelm all the property there, even the McDonald's. Thanks.
So, Mark, I know it's 14.1 acres that is for sale. Is this project take up the entire 14 acres?
Yes, ma'am. So I want this to be a working meeting where, we're just exchanging good ideas and we can kind of agree, on areas that we can agree. Let's build on those. So, first is the 4-story. Like, okay, we can agree to, max it out at 3 stories. I understand that's a concern. We find it to be more efficient in the senior community because you're tighter, you're closer to the elevator, you're closer to the amenities. So that's why we do it. But if it's consensus agreement that just doesn't mesh with the community, that's something that I can give on. So if other folks have concerns about that, let's try to look past that, please. But I think they're heard loud and clear on that one.
Okay, Ms. Harris, I see your hand raised again. Did you have another comment?
Yes, in a request from the president for the coalition. 55 plus is what the requirements for seniors, from what I understand. I could be wrong, but all you need is for the beginning senior is 55. So if you have a 55 plus and 5 grandkids, because the majority of grandparents nowadays are raising grandkids, and a lot of them are ages. And the parents can't do nothing with them, grandparents can't do it, so they're going to be in this senior apartment complex. I am asking the president of the coalition if he will call an emergency meeting so that we can immediately take actions to stop this project. Thank you all so much.
So a couple of comments on that. So there's a maximum number of people allowed in units. I think it's 2 per bedroom. So overcrowding is not a concern, or not an issue. And on the senior side, the head of household has to be 55, unless they're on the lease, and then it's a lease violation, period. And we have to actively monitor that. We have, on-site staff. We've got, maintenance people out in the field. We've got private patrol. We've got cameras. Not to say that it's perfect and catches every instance of unwelcome guest, but it's very important that we monitor, who's on the community, and making sure that it's operating, under compliance, because there's the good thing about this program is there are layers and layers of compliance. There's local, there's local authorities in the city of Houston, there's state with TDHCA, there's federal with HUD and the IRS. And so there's a lot of emphasis on compliance, operating a safe community, operating it under the rules and regulations of the program, and all of it goes back to income. So if people, have guests over there, and that could come back and be a disaster for the owner. So everyone's incentives are aligned to make sure that, there's not people that are under 55 that aren't qualified. Of course, if there's a spouse or whatever, that's fine. And all of the marketing for the senior side will be, towards the senior population. It's all the amenities will be towards the senior population. Now, if there's a grandchild that's coming to visit, of course they're welcome. But it's not, it's not a family facility.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Mr. Clark, I think this is your first time speaking. We'll go to you next. Homer Clark, if you can unmute, we're ready for your comments. You're still muted. Are you trying to call in? We'll go back to Ms. Gerlach until we can get Mr. Clark back on the line. We see you on the computer. Just unmute your computer. Ms. Gerlach, go ahead.
Okay, Reverend Washington asked about the amenities and I forgot that. So is there a swimming pool for the seniors? You said amenities, but you didn't mention whether that would be a swimming pool for the seniors.
It's not currently designed just from a space standpoint, but I mean, if that's important to the community, then we can figure that part out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Petrie.
Oh,
go ahead.
One other thing. Now, when you said you have the control at the gates, the gated part, we all know you just sit there and wait till somebody goes through the gate and you follow them through. So what's in place to stop that?
On-site management that's at the gates, patrol in the evenings, cameras to record license plates and faces.
Okay, so I can sit there and watch follow that person in, and so you said that there would be cameras. So you would assume that this person is there illegally. How can you determine that?
Well, it goes back to the registration. So if it's a resident and they have a sticker, then they're able to join. But if there's an incident overnight, we can check the tape and identify that. So that's kind of back to I say permit, it's not, it's kind of like a permitted parking. It's not an isolated spot, but it's all the vehicles are registered.
So that would be only at night, not in the day.
Yes, ma'am. We have on-site leasing as well that, that they're not sitting in front of the gate, but I mean, if they can see if there's a problem with people tailgating in.
Okay, so there would not be any security on the gate. Like,
yes, there'll be cameras, there'll be a key fob, there will be on-site staff there, there'll be private patrol, there'll be patrol in the evenings. Yes, there'll be heavy security.
but I mean, what I'm saying is there for instance, some apartment complexes, there's a guard at the gate, and you come through there.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your point. Yeah, there would not be a human like guard.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Petrie, I see your hand raised. Did you have another comment?
Yes, I did. Mark, if you could show us the proposed layout of the facility again. I think that'd be nice to be able to see how did you originally conceptualize, that one. The amenities as far as proximity to the senior lofts versus the family. So I'm seeing a lot of parking in between those two areas that should help mitigate some of the sound. I'm not saying I'm for or against the project. I was just listening to the questions, and this is a concern that came up in my head.
Yes, sir. It's a good.
I am seeing that, and so as far as proximity, then maybe even if there was a way to reconfigure so that the townhomes were closer to the seniors, that also push the family further away, that might further mitigate some of the concerns. And then also, seniors do like to swim, and it is a good exercise for keeping their legs strong and their heart strong. So that definitely should be something that should be considered, and definitely factoring in the cost, as they had mentioned, to having generators. I know the fire code would probably require some sort of lights to come on in the hallways if there's an event where electricity goes out. I think that's already standard in our property code. So, but yeah, this it's going to be interesting to see how we mitigate the concerns on the school. But when I look at the 60% level, household level, that should limit the number of residents that should be in both the seniors and in the family sections. As far as mitigate the number of vehicles that we would be looking at as well. There's a lot of things that are going to be mitigated because of that, but there are some issues that do rise because of the lower income level. So you do have your challenges to try and find a project that's going to work for the community. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Really good points. So one, pool, I hear that loud and clear. If that's important and it impacts anyone's decision, that's something that we can agree to do on the senior side. As you can kind of see this, the idea is we created a courtyard in the senior facility that's kind of between the two senior buildings, and that was done to create good access between the two buildings, but also kind of shield the common area from the parking areas and family developments. And then on the family side, again, the courtyard and pool was put kind of in the middle of the development, again, to kind of create as much, to keep it central to the family development, but also create distance from the senior development. On the senior side as well, I brushed over it quickly. An important difference in the architecture and construction on that is the the elevator serve and the conditioned corridors. Just from also like a noise mitigation. You're not going to come out your door and hear kids screaming. It's going to be like a hotel type of feel. Whereas traditional multifamily construction, they're calling it breezeways. It's just, kind of the more of the open air. I mean, that's nice that has pros and cons. It's nice because, you just get more fresh air, but, it is louder. So, there are definitely some pros and cons, but I think you made some really good points. Thank you.
One other question, is there an access to the senior side on Almeida?
So no, sir. So that's a state-owned road. So access there's just more difficult, and there's not a turn lane on West Fuquay. We would be constructing a left turn lane because currently there's a nice median, but there's not a turn lane. So there would be now that hasn't been approved by Houston traffic engineers, but that's just what we're anticipating based off of our traffic engineer with Kimley Horn.
So, okay, so you only have access on West Fuquay and Waterloo, no consideration to the back property line maybe becoming a private street, giving you access off of the private street to the facilities.
Yes, sir. We actually, on the bottom, it's a good note. The city requested that we do a 10-foot right-of-way dedication for, if the property to the south was to develop and there needed to be emergency access throughout for both sides. So we'll be dedicating 10 feet of right-of-way.
Okay.
But that will be undeveloped, but that will be, public if there's more development in the area that would require additional infrastructure.
Yeah, and looking at it, you might want to consider what effect, if you can lose that last row of parking along that back property line to make it accessible to the complex. That might result in some issues as well.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
Thank you, Mr. Petrie. We do have a couple of more hands raised.
Thank you.
We'll go. Sean Rushing, did you have another comment? I see your hand is still raised. Mr. Clark, are you on now? We can't hear you. Push *6 on your phone, Mr. Clark. We don't hear you. *6.
Vice Mayor Pro Tem, he does not show as being muted, so I'm not sure what the sound issue is.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Okay, we hear you, Mr. Clark.
Okay, good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon.
He has his computer on and his phone, so that's why we're getting that feedback.
Okay, I'm going to turn the phone off.
Unmute. Dee Dee, can you unmute him?
I just tried, but it's not giving me the option, so he'll have to do it from his computer.
Mr. Clark, do you see the icon with the microphone? Can you push that? Maybe call us back on the phone and get off the computer.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Mr. Pete. Is that you, Mr. Clark? Hello? No. Okay, well, let's, Mr. Petrie, I still see your hand up. Did you have another comment? Are you done? Thank you. Villamonte, Mrs. Ledesma, I see that you have your hand raised again. Did you have another comment?
Yes. The question, I have a neighbor asking me, it seems like this is not set in stone now. They're wanting to know what is next, like what comes next after this meeting, whether they're for it or against it. Where can they share that information?
Do you want to know where they can share whether they're for it or against it?
Yes, like if they want to know like if there's gonna be a vote on this, or is this already just set in stone? You're just letting the community know? Or
no, this is a community meeting for me to hear from residents to find out if there is support for the project. I don't know if Josh or Mark, you want to talk about next steps, but this was a community meeting for me to gather information from residents in the community about your support or non-support for this proposed project.
Yeah, so this is Josh. I'm going to go ahead and kind of just explain the process in which we're going through to apply for these 4% tax credits. So we, Elmington Capital has not applied for or received any permits whatsoever from the city of Houston at this point. This is all just kind of the beginning stages of exploring what potential development could happen on this site. And so that's what the first thing we did was reach out to Vice Mayor Pro Tem Castex Tatum to just get her initial thoughts, let her know that Elmington was interested in the site and was interested in doing something in the community around workforce housing, senior housing. And so she then referred us to this, the South Houston Citizens or Concerned Citizens Coalition. We've had a couple different meetings, just kind of getting feedback and listening to concerns from some of the community members. And we've had that meeting with the coalition. But as of this point, we're going to begin the application process. And so, as Vice Mayor Pro Tem has just kind of stated, this is an opportunity for her to get feedback from you guys in the community to see if this is a project that can potentially begin moving forward and what that can look like. And so this isn't, we're not coming to you at the last minute, trying to slam something down without input. This is really in the development stages in terms of just deciding whether or not that a project is suitable for the site and what that project looks like. And then we would be going through that process of applying to the housing department to be able to qualify for the state % tax credits. Just as Vice Mayor Pro Tem stated, once that application is made and reviewed by the housing department, if it meets the requirements underneath the state's program, then the city of Houston will set up a public hearing. And that public hearing will be held the Wednesday morning of the council meetings before any vote on it is taken. They allow for public comment and community input during this hearing. And then if the housing department...
I know it, Ms. Harris, is still not working.
Oh, we can hear you now.
We got you, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, Martha?
Hang on one second, Josh. Yeah, Mr. Clark, we can hear you. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, you talking to Homer?
Yes, I'm talking to Homer.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I have some questions and a few comments. First of all, if the senior side doesn't sell, are we going to extend it to the other people?
That's a hard no. So this isn't just a marketing brochure. This is actually financed through TDHCA with the qualifications that is a senior facility. So it's embedded in our land use restriction agreement that would be binded to the ground. So it is locked in to be a senior community.
Okay. Now let me say this. First of all, I don't think the mixed use will work. Okay, and for these reasons, you got 1,000 people on a 14 acres, roughly. There's too many cars. The schools would be congested, and overall, this is just bad for the community. And I have another question. Is the tax credit, is it state tax credits or city tax credits?
Great question. It's federal tax credits. So the program's been around since the late 80s, and it's was put in place to encourage affordable, responsible housing development. So what happens is it's regulated and monitored and administered at the state level through an organization called TDHCA, and they qualify every project. So you apply at the state level, but it's actually a federal tax credit. And who buys them? This is getting into the weeds a bit, but who buys them are large financial institutions. So groups like Bank of America and PNC and other large banks in the local community. And the primary reason that they purchase these tax credits is another program called the Community Reinvestment Act. They call it CRA for short. And it's basically a federal mandate that large financial institutions have to invest in the communities that they take deposits. So, if Chase or Bank of America is, has whatever, probably hundreds of millions of dollars of deposits within a community, they have to reinvest more into the community. So it's like a way to force or encourage or nudge these large financial institutions to actually invest in the communities in which they operate. So it's it's been one of the biggest tools to create long-term sustainable high quality housing. And the program's evolved since it began. I mean, you can see the quality that we're talking about. It's not, it's not what some people envision. What low income apartments look like.
Okay. The physical facility is one thing, but then it's the people in it that's really gonna make the difference.
Yes, sir.
So this says, let me just close by saying this. If this is taxpayers' money, they could do much better than this particular project.
So, Mr. Clark,
and this is a horrible project and a horrible way to use taxpayers' money on a project like this. This project is not gonna work. It's gonna be a disaster for our community.
Mr. Clark, what? So just to be clear, it's a federal tax credit again. But I know you visited Edison Lofts recently. What was your experience there? What was your perception there?
You say I did what now?
I believe you visited Edison Lofts this summer when it did its ribbon cutting. I just saw some pictures. I didn't know if you had any positive experience there. I may be mistaken. Just let me know.
I really don't have any on any project, but this one I know is bad for this particular area.
Okay.
And for our community and what we've been trying to do over the last 5 or 10 years, this is a total disaster.
Is there a certain component that makes you feel that way, sir?
Okay, how many ways can it? Well, first of all, you got 330 units, so you're going to have about 1,000 people on 14 acres. Okay, that's overcrowded. That's going to generate too many cars that somebody spoke about, and it's going to congest the schools. And I don't know the quality of people that you're going to attract with this project, but then there come the crime and all the other things that come with it. I mean, this is frightening. I mean, it's just a bad project. It's a mixed use disaster.
Okay. So yeah, we've been working on this project for the better part of the year. We've had, been in communication for the last several months, and if you don't give us anything, you got to at least say we've been trying to adapt. You may not be happy with where we're at, but I think everybody would at least acknowledge we've came a long way. Is that fair? I mean, I feel like that's been we've been trying to adapt. So this is a bit.
Can I say something, please, sir? I want to help you out for a minute.
Yes.
I will agree the property looks beautiful. It's a beautiful presentation. But when I think about parking, the things that you all said, let's move on to, from, when I think about parking and where these people are going to park, where these students are going to get quality school education, based on where we are now as a community, it's just not a good fit for right now. It's not a good area. It's too many complexes. And I understand you may need to turn a profit, but this is not the right area to profit in. So I would definitely voice my opinion over and over again. And I would say it's safety first in everything. And when is this project due to be completed?
So we'd probably break ground in the summer of next year, and then it would take about 18 months to 22 months to complete construction.
And so if you go and check the statistics and the academic success of the schools over here, it looks like it just looks like, right? You've done something great. The quality will not last based on the challenges we're having as a community right now. Again, it's not big enough. It's not enough room, but maybe there are other areas in the city that could really appreciate this project in a space that can accommodate what you're trying to do. So I'm not saying give up. I'm saying, yes, you put together a great presentation. You just don't have enough space right there on Almeida and Fuquay and Waterloo.
Thank you. So I've got, it's maybe a little unconventional, but like I said, I want to treat this as more of a working session. It sounds like I don't agree with all of the points about crime and some of the other points, but I'm not here to debate. I'm here to coordinate and work together. So it seems like all of the angst and anger is all directed towards the family component. Again, that's a different conversation. But what time if we converted, and just did a senior facility here, and that's a major overhaul for us, and a really expensive decision to make. But I'm willing to do that if it's something that would build support quickly. And you know, we've gone back and forth for months, and we're here where we're at, you know, but like, I just would love to find a plan that gets people excited about it in the community. And, you know, the reality of it is it does have to be large. It's a 14-acre site. It's very expensive land. It's going to be sold as one piece of property. And the reality that I'm trying to fight is, you know, if we can't figure this financing structure out, it has to be conventionally financed, which means it's going to be lower quality, more units, less security, no services. And we don't want to do that. That's not how we like to develop. I don't think that adds any value, and we'd sell it in 2 or 3 years. We don't want to do that. And if we can't figure it out, there's going to be somebody else behind us that does that, or builds another use like an industrial facility that's going to have semi trucks all over the place, or a retail center that you know, is dangerous or doesn't have any security measures. And so I'm trying to avoid that. So that's kind of a rambling statement, but I'd be curious on everyone's you know, everyone's thoughts on if this was a senior housing committee, or a senior housing only committee, so no mixed use, that would directly address the major concerns of schools, traffic, number of residents, you know, crime, all of the arguments that we've discussed at length today. I believe that would directly mitigate many of those. And I'm very curious, and I'd love to hear from other folks if that is a proposal that you would support.
Can I share one? Can I share one more thing? There's
Sure.
a housing community right by the bank, by the Sonic, that takes in a lot of young people. That housing community struggles because of the crime. You know what? I know people who have lived out of there, stayed very short period of time, did just what you're proposing to do. If you can't get the quality of what you want, stay in there 2 to 3 years and they move. And so that's this. There are crime stats over there, whether they're reported or not, where people are moving off of that housing complex over there off of Almeida and that complex is struggling because of crime.
May I speak, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please tell me, where are you all getting applying for the money from? Because you said state, you've said federal, and you've said TDACA. Tell me, where are you all? And then it was said the housing department. So where are you all applying?
Good question. So the governing body, the most relevant, is TDHCA, and if you just you know, search that, there's a ton of literature, and it's a public institution, you know, state employees, I believe. So that's the administrative, or that's kind of the administration level. Now, where we've mentioned, and we don't have to get down in the weeds of this, but there's local review, state review, and federal review. So it's really coordination at every tier. But the most relevant, who's actually like granting and awarding tax credits, is TDHCA.
So the other part of this is a question. A minute ago, you mentioned that if you all don't get the tax credits and that you go in and build yourself, that what could go in there. That's not saying a lot for you. Was that a threat or what?
No, ma'am. I mean, that was my point. It's like we don't want to do that. That's not how we like to develop. That's like the traditional development model. That kind of goes against what we believe is the right thing to do. That's why we like this model, where we can do security, do higher level finishes, have services, and offer affordable rents.
Thank you.
Ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, what are your thoughts specifically on the senior component? I remember you were one of the voices who mentioned that earlier this summer. So I'd be especially curious of what your feelings are towards if we went that direction. Was that something that you could support?
Let me say this. I'm with the majority of the community. I'm with the majority of the voters from the South Houston Concerned Citizens Coalition. I suggested rather than you all put that apartment complex in there, that we would consider a senior apartment complex. I'm also looking at the appliances, and you're saying they're high end. I'm telling you what I'm looking at is not high end appliances. None of them. Refrigerator, washer, dryer. I mean, the steel is good, but the meat of the project is what I'm looking at. And yes, if we have a senior complex and everybody, and if the majority agrees, and it's strictly seniors controlled to keep our younger people, which is really, really hard because grandparent, I was a grandparent raising a grandchild, although I knew she was under darn good control, but we can't say that for every grandparent that's raising kids. And a grandparent that moves in there is not going to put the grandkids out. So that's all I'm saying. Let it be a senior complex if the majority agrees, and that is strictly seniors and not a bunch of teenagers running in and out of it, or a bunch of young kids. A lot of these seniors are taking care of their 30 and 40-year-old children, so it's this is where I'm at with it. Once we meet, the coalition meets, and the majority agrees, then we support it. But otherwise, I'm with the majority for the coalition. That's what we've survived on. That's how we've been able to keep our community afloat. And we have been able to do that by hard work, turning in folks that don't act right, acting like, but that housing department down there, I have no confidence in that housing department because I know what the past record is. So I don't know if they done made it back to that point again. I'm not sure. But I have questions about the housing department. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Harris. We got you on record. We have a couple of people with their hands raised. They've all spoken before. I think we need to try to move towards a wrap up. Ms. Skurlock, I see your hand is up again. Did you have another comment? You're on mute.
Yeah, I think he misspoke when he said he get tax credit from the Houston Housing. He just meant really the 4% from the state, from TDHCA, right?
Yes, ma'am. There's
somebody mentioned from the city of Houston Housing.
No, so there's, when we were talking about the multiple layers of review, there's the Housing Community Development Organization, and they review all applications and have their own criteria that's separate from TDHCA. So, but the tax credits are officially issued by TDHCA in the 4% program. Yes, ma'am, you're right. Ma'am, while I have you, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the senior.
Yeah, I think I told you that last time. I would prefer a senior project because a lot of people out here are seniors, and some of them might, would like to stay in the community, but they probably would sell their homes and move into a complex, a senior complex. So I have a vote for a senior complex. Thank you.
Mr. Fowler, I see your hand is raised, and then the last comment will be from Mr. Petrie.
Thank you. I'd just like to go on record saying that I would be in favor of the project. Any new development is going to bring revenue for the area, and this area does need new development. All that new development on West Fuqua down towards Beltway 8 with the Amazon stuff is definitely helping the economy in this area. I feel like it would do the same thing in this area. However, I do agree with some of the concerns of some of the other residents about low income housing. So if the the split was maybe 75% senior, 25% low income or better, in the direction of senior, I would be in favor of that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Mr. Petrie?
Yeah, Mark, you've got a big challenge ahead of you on how to reconfigure this. Have you guys committed to the land already? And that's why you're pursuing the project in this manner? I mean, I love the flexibility that you're stating, that you're really trying to get community input on what type of development would be acceptable there. And I'm coming into this conversation late. You know, I got the message, so I did change my evening to be able to sit in on this. It's been very informative.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do a 100% senior facility at 60% median income and make it economically work for all, and still not end up with seniors who have preteen and teen grandchildren that would want and need to live with them. A totally senior apartment complex obviously has different guidelines. I am not familiar with all of those to see how that would work, but to hear that many of our seniors that live in the neighborhood currently would be selling their properties in order to live there, I'm not sure that that's the case, because they're going to take over, they're going to get rid of an asset that they probably now have free and clear to something that they're going to have a monthly obligation to with less space. I'm not totally into that. And I'm a real estate broker, so yeah, we need the inventory. That would be a great thing on the one hand, but it doesn't make sense to me as a qualifying reason to do that project. Project there, we need to do something. I just don't know what it is right now. In listening to, I would love to be in on some more of the conversations. So I'll be on the lookout for any other meetings of this type.
Mr. Petrie, are you on our distribution list?
Yes, I received the emails. That's how come I
Thank
was able to be aware of it. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll continue to send out any messages on our distribution list. Ms. Ledesma, I see your hand is raised again.
Yes, thank you. So I earlier, Mr. Josh was not able to finish kind
Yes,
of what
thank
comes
you.
next. And I think and I just want to state, I was raised in this area. When I got married, we decided to build our homes here in this area. I feel like we are completely against the multi home living, just because that's the reason we decided to build in this area, because there was no, not many apartments. So again, if he could just tell us what comes next, and how can we voice our concerns. And again, I would love for this to be either translated or something in Spanish.
Yeah, so like I said, once and kind of as Mark has alluded to, there's multiple levels of review. So you do have what is known as a no objection letter that council will eventually approve. And so that comes after the public hearing that I talked about that would be held at a council meeting. And the public hearing is specifically for this project and the application for the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, TDHCA, for their 4% tax credit allotment. And so there would be that process that still has to go forward, but we still have to make the application, have that review happen, and then they would have the public hearing if we decide to move forward with this project. And then that's when you have an opportunity to voice your concerns at the council meeting during that hearing.
Will we be notified when that council meeting will be?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sure Vice Mayor Pro Tem will be able to communicate that through all of her channels. But yes, everything would be posted on the city's website, and they post their council meeting agendas typically on about Friday around noon. And so every Friday at noon, there's a posting for the agenda of the issues that City Council is going to cover the next week. But like I said, I'm sure if this did get to the point where it was going to be a public hearing, that Vice Mayor Pro Tem Castex Tatum would also communicate that with you guys so that you'd be well aware of it.
We
May-
send it out in our newsletter, so if you aren't on our newsletter distribution, that is our best way of getting information to the community.
And ma'am, while we have you, I'm curious your thoughts. I know you have concerns about the family, but if this was a large age-restricted senior apartment community, is that something that would eliminate or your concerns and something that you could support?
Are you asking me, Ms. Ledesma?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, definitely. I would. Again, this session was really informational. But if I had the option, I would support the more of a senior living. Yeah, I think that's as far as the crime and I think what everybody has shared about the areas and the schools. I would support just the senior.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ledesma. Ms. Gerlach, I see your hand up. Did you have another comment?
No, I didn't. I probably forgot to take my hand down. Thanks.
Okay.
Is there? Can I just ask? Is there anyone who would not support a senior apartment only on this site?
I wouldn't support it.
Okay, thank you. And who was speaking? I'm just curious.
Marla Davis.
Marla Davis. Thank you, Ms. Davis.
If you're on the phone, you can push *6 to unmute. Is there anyone else that would not support a senior facility?
I would be skeptical, even with the way this process have gone, and so I would be, because we're changing this as we go, and we're going from one thing to the next. We don't have anything solid. We don't have a hard proposal to work with, so I'm skeptical. Let's put it like that. And I just want a project. If it was a project that would add value to the community, I would jump up and shout. I've supported 100%. But I don't think this is it. I think this is not going to work I think it's bad for our community. Either way. Mix all this way, all that way. I just think it's bad, and I think we can just do something better, somewhere else. And we got 1,700 square miles in the county. Maybe it'll work somewhere else, but I don't think it's gonna work for our community the way we headed and where we want to go. That's just my feelings. This is Homer.
And sir, thank you for that. What is your biggest concern with the senior strategy?
I know it. I haven't looked at all aspects of a senior complex. I know really how they work, and it's definitely better than what was presented tonight. But the way this process have gone, I'm concerned. Just to put it like that. So if I had a vote, I would vote no.
Well, yes, sir.
If community says, I agree with Ms. Harris on it. If the seniors, it's not like one is better than the other one. Yes, seniors is a lot better than what was presented, but is that gonna work for this community? I don't know yet. I haven't evaluated. I haven't seen anything. So I don't know. And I know you guys, y'all got to make it work. Y'all got to put the pencil to it. It's got to make sense to you all. I understand that. You got to make some money. You're in the business of making money. I'm not opposed to that. In order for you guys to make some money, it may not work for us. So I don't see how you could make it work and work for you all and work for the community. I really don't.
Well, I mean, this process has been fluid because we've been trying to meet and adapt to the feedback we've been collecting. I think all of the, as far as a plan, all of the aspects that we talked about this evening, about the senior component, about the security, the services, the units, the quality, all of that applies. It would just be, a larger, instead of having a family, it would just be all age restricted. It wouldn't be 330 units. It would be, less, probably 280 to 300. And, we would go to 3-story, like we've debated this evening, and create more green space. So I think all of the advantages or all of the attributes that we discussed are still relevant. If you have any questions, you give me a day and time and I'll be at your office. And I got as long as you need to get comfortable. So you let me know what I can do on the plan side to get you information you would need to make a decision. But I really appreciate all your input to this date. And we've tried to remain flexible. So I agree it is kind of moving quickly on the changes, but this is a quick moving real estate market. So we've got to, we're trying to find a plan that we can really go all in on and start pushing and developing and designing, and because that's a process in itself. But we don't want to do that if we don't have a plan that the community supports. So we're looking for some direction and feedback that we can move quickly on at this point.
Okay, Mark, I think I see Ms. Harris has her hand up, and then we're going to go ahead and bring the meeting to a close. I think everyone that wanted to make comments has made comments. Ms. Harris, so you can have the final comment, and then we're going to go ahead. If you have further comments you'd like to make, feel free to email those to our District K mailbox, and we'll definitely forward those to Josh and Mark.
Okay, I have a
District K at HoustonTX.gov. Is somebody speaking?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Who is this?
This is Marla Davis again. I was wondering, have the developers been out to the neighborhood to drive around the neighborhood and see what the traffic is like? Have they been in the neighborhood to see what the store is like, whether it's family or senior citizens? Have they been in the area to see what the traffic flow is like and what the demographics is like for food for the seniors, stores and things for the seniors?
Yes, ma'am. And we've done we've been there and I've toured some properties and toured the area many times. We've got some local employees in Houston that have all provided input. And I agree, there's not as much access to healthy foods as you'd like, but part of the benefit of our program is this programming helps bring food to the site. It's not as permanent as an HEB, but the service provider has relationships with the food bank, with one of the harvest trucks and local restaurants, and they procure food and create nutrition programs and do a lot of health and wellness type services, specifically on the senior side. And so it's not a direct answer quite yet, but I think it's an improvement, and the more quality rooftops you add, the more likely it is for retailers to come into the area. So I'm sure a grocery store would love to see a 300 high quality senior apartments that would be customers. So I'll stop talking now, Vice Mayor Pro Tem. I know we got to wrap it up.
Okay, Ms. Harris, you can have the last word.
Okay, Mark, that statement you made is phenomenal, okay? Because we have been told that we don't have the rooftops. I moved out here April 11, 1970, okay? It's 5 times as many rooftops out here as it was then. And guess what? We had Wine Garden, we had Lewis and Coca, we had Rice, we had Kroger, and we had Food Giant. And now we don't have anything hardly. So tell me how they keep rationalizing rooftops. That's a lie and a scam. Thank you. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't like to be played. It makes me angry because rooftops is not the answer. We've had many stores out here, and we've had a whole lot less rooftops. Thank you. Thank you. I'm through. I'm through. I'm through.
All right, Mark and Josh, thank you for your presentation today. I think, you know, I've heard from the residents with their concerns. We can definitely circle back if we get any additional comments from constituents. I will forward those over to your offices. And if there are any residents that have any concerns that they did not get to express tonight, if you wake up in the morning and you think it's something else, feel free to email us at districtk@houstontx.gov. If we are having any other meetings, Ms. Ledesma will reach out to you to see if we can either get this translated in Spanish or maybe hold a Spanish-speaking meeting for your neighbors as well. Thank you all for being on the call tonight. We appreciate your time and your effort. I hope that this was helpful to you to learn more about the tax credit process and how we want to move forward in our community, and that your council office is listening and hearing from you, because I represent you and I want you to know that your voices matter to me. And I hope that we will be able to continue to work together as we make District K better every day. All right.
Martha. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.
Have a good evening.
Good night.